Imagine waking up 30 days from now and realizing you're living the life you kept promising yourself. Sounds bold, but I promise you this. In the next 25 minutes, I'll give you a practical battle, tested roadmap that people have used to rewrite their careers, relationships, and confidence. I'm not selling a fantasy. I'm handing you a sequence of steps you can start applying tonight. So if you're tired of waiting, if you're tired of good intentions, stay with me. By the time this talk ends, you'll know exactly what to do next. Extended hook. 190 seconds build story, suck credibility is calm. Compelling. A year ago I sat where you might be. Frustrated, busy, full of potential I couldn't unlock. I tried long strategies, expensive programs, and motivational highs that didn't last. Then I boiled everything down to one simple truth. Transformation doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing the right next thing, repeatedly. Over the last few years, I've helped dozens of people use this principle to get promotions, repair broken relationships, and find deep, daily confidence, often in far less time than they expected. Today, I'm not offering theory. I'll give you a step-by-step practice you can start in the next 5 minutes, a mindset shift you'll carry with you, and a mini plan you'll use across the next 30 days. Give me 25 minutes, listen, act, and commit, and you won't leave this room or this video the same person you were when you arrived. If you want, I can turn one of these into a 68-line script for a thumbnail short. Add a dramatic opening line or a personal anecdote tailored to your background. Which one should I expand? Every great transformation begins with a single decision made in absolute clarity. One focused decision has the power to rearrange your entire life because it demands your full commitment and forces your attention toward what truly matters. It cuts through the noise of uncertainty, distraction, and self-doubt. The moment you decide, really decide to change something, you activate a level of energy and determination that you never knew existed. Most people live in hesitation, dipping their toes into possibilities, waiting for perfect conditions. But those understand the power of one focused decision. Don't wait for conditions, they create them. They know that clarity does not come before the decision, clarity comes after it. The moment you say yes to a direction with full conviction, everything begins to align toward that outcome. A focused decision is not made casually or emotionally. It's a deliberate act of power. It means cutting away every other option that distracts from your purpose. The word decision comes from the Latin root decider, meaning to cut off. When you decide, you cut off the escape routes, the excuses, and the plan Bs that keep you from moving forward. That is why so few people ever make a true decision. They fear the commitment it demands, yet that is exactly what transforms a wish into a result. One focused decision reshapes your identity because it tells your mind, this is who I am now. And once your identity shifts, your habits begin to follow. When your mind focuses on a single target, the universe begins to cooperate. You start noticing opportunities that were invisible before. Your thoughts, words, and actions synchronize in the same direction. The scattered energy that once kept you exhausted begins to consolidate into purpose-driven power. Every choice you make after that decision either moves you closer or further away from what you declared, and that awareness alone raises your standard. You stop entertaining distractions that don't serve your vision. You stop wasting energy on opinions that don't build your future. You begin to walk with intention, not indecision. The reason one focused decision holds so much power is because it changes your emotional state. You stop living reactively and start living deliberately. You become the cause, not the effect. Instead of waiting for motivation, you move from a place of conviction. When you decide that your dream matters more than your comfort, your actions follow automatically. Fear loses its grip because purpose becomes stronger than doubt. You no longer need to know every step, only need to stay faithful to the decision. Every time you recommit to it, you build resilience, and resilience turns into momentum. That single moment of decision separates those who dream from those who do. It defines destinies, launches movements, and changes the course of lives. Everything you want to become starts with that one internal declaration that says, I will not go back. I have decided. Excuses are the invisible chains that keep people tied to the same place year after year. While execution is the force that breaks those chains and turns potential into progress, the shift from excuses to execution is the moment when you stop negotiating with your limitations and start moving despite them. Excuses sound reasonable because they protect the ego from discomfort, but they also protect you from growth. People often convince themselves that they need more time, more knowledge, or better circumstances before taking action. But the truth is that progress never begins in perfect conditions. It begins in imperfect action. Execution is not about waiting to feel ready. It's about moving while uncertain, learning along the way, and trusting that consistency will refine what courage begins. When you live in excuses, you tell yourself stories that justify inaction. You say, "I can't because," and fill in the blank with whatever keeps you safe from effort or failure. But when you shift to execution, that language disappears. You replace "I can't" with "I will find a way." The focus moves from what's missing to what's possible. Every small step becomes a declaration that you value results over reasons. Excuses drain energy, execution generates it. The more you act, the more momentum you build, and the more your brain associates effort with empowerment rather than exhaustion. Execution is a muscle, and like any muscle, it strengthens with use. People who execute understand that discipline outweighs motivation. They don't wait to feel inspired. They build systems that force progress, even on uninspired days. They remove distractions, create structure, and commit to non-negotiable actions. Excuses depend on emotion, but execution depends on decision. When you operate from decision, you no longer need to explain your effort. You simply show up. Each act of execution becomes proof that your words mean something. It's easy to talk about dreams. It's harder to live them out through consistent effort. The gap between those who succeed and those who stay stuck is not talent or opportunity. It's execution. The shift also changes your relationship with failure. In the world of excuses, failure is final. In the world of execution, failure is feedback. Every setback becomes data that guides the next attempt. You no longer fear mistakes because you understand that every correction moves you closer to mastery. Excuses make problems permanent. Execution makes them temporary. The person who acts, even imperfectly, gains experience that no amount of thinking can provide. Action exposes weaknesses so they can be strengthened, while excuses keep them hidden and unchallenged. This transformation requires honesty. You must confront the gap between what you say you want and what you actually do. That honesty can feel uncomfortable, but it is liberating because it gives you back your power. Once you stop blaming circumstances, people, or timing, you realize that your results are in your hands. Execution begins the moment you stop explaining your limitations and start expressing your commitment through action. Lasting change doesn't happen by accident or through temporary bursts of motivation. It follows a deliberate process that anyone can apply. The three-step formula for lasting change begins with awareness, moves into alignment, and is sustained by action. Awareness opens your eyes to what needs transformation. Alignment brings your thoughts, emotions, and habits into agreement with your goals. Action locks the change in place through repetition until it becomes part of who you are. Without awareness, you remain blind to your patterns. Without alignment, you work against yourself. Without action, nothing changes no matter how much you know. When all three steps work together, transformation becomes inevitable because it is built on conscious intention rather than wishful thinking. The first step, awareness, is about seeing reality clearly. You can't change what you refuse to acknowledge. Many people live on autopilot, repeating old habits without realizing how deeply those routines define their results. Awareness means stepping back to observe your thoughts, your emotions, and the reasons behind your choices. It's not about judgment. It's about understanding. Once you become aware of the beliefs driving your behavior, you gain power over them. Awareness shines light on self-sabotage, procrastination, and fear so they lose their control over you. It is the moment you stop blaming and start taking ownership of your inner world. The second step, alignment, connects your internal world with your external goals. It's not enough to want change. You must believe it's possible and behave as if it's already happening. Alignment means your thoughts, words, and actions move in the same direction. You stop saying one thing and doing another. You begin to create harmony between what you think, what you feel, and what you do. When these three are aligned, energy flows freely. Resistance drops because you're no longer divided within yourself. Alignment also means surrounding yourself with the right environment, people, routines, and influences that support your desired transformation. When your surroundings match your vision, staying consistent becomes easier because you're no longer fighting against your own atmosphere. The third step, action, is where change becomes real. No amount of awareness or alignment matters without movement. Action transforms ideas into evidence. It teaches through experience and strengthens your belief through results. Every small action, repeated daily, rewires your identity and rewrites your future. Action doesn't require perfection, it requires persistence. Most people give up because they mistake consistency for intensity. They try to do too much too soon instead of building sustainable habits. Lasting change comes from showing up even when progress feels invisible. Over time, small efforts compound into significant breakthroughs. Action turns clarity into confidence and transforms discipline into freedom. When awareness, alignment, and action become your rhythm, change stops being a temporary fix and starts becoming your new standard. Each step reinforces the other, creating a cycle of continuous growth that keeps you evolving toward your best self. Every lasting transformation begins in the mind long before it ever shows up in results. Mindset before method means that the state of your inner world determines the quality of your outer world. You can have the best strategy, the perfect routine, or all the right opportunities, but if your mindset is filled with doubt, fear, or limitation, those methods will fail to create change. The mind is the soil where every result grows, and if the soil is unhealthy, no seed can take root. Success is not first about knowing what to do. It's about believing that what you do will make a difference. Your mindset sets the tone for your effort, your persistence, and your ability to overcome resistance when challenges appear. Many people chase techniques, formulas, and quick fixes because they think the right method will solve everything. But methods only work when they are powered by a clear and confident mind. Two people can follow the same plan, yet one will rise while the other gives up. The difference is not in the plan, but in the mindset behind it. A strong inner world fuels consistency. A weak one collapses under pressure. Mindset is what keeps you going when results are slow, when feedback is silent, and when no one is watching. It shapes how you interpret setbacks, whether you see them as signs to stop or as lessons to grow. When your inner world is aligned with belief, focus, and faith, everything you touch begins to respond differently. You stop seeing obstacles as proof that you're failing and start seeing them as part of the process. The mind creates meaning, and meaning creates motivation. Once you master your thoughts, you stop being controlled by circumstances. You stop reacting and start creating. This is the point where external effort becomes efficient, because you are no longer working from anxiety or scarcity, but from conviction and peace. You attract opportunities not through luck, but through clarity of purpose and consistent energy. Developing the right mindset requires awareness and discipline. It means guarding your inner conversation and refusing to feed thoughts that weaken your confidence. It's choosing gratitude over complaint, patience over panic, and faith over fear. The moment you decide that your inner peace and focus are non-negotiable, your entire world begins to shift. You start thinking like the person you want to become, and your actions naturally rise to meet that standard. The outer results are simply the reflection of that inner transformation. Methods are tools, but mindset is the hand that holds them. Without the right mental foundation, every tool feels heavy, every challenge feels impossible, and every delay feels permanent. But when the inner world is strong, even the smallest action creates ripples of progress. The real breakthrough happens not when you find a new method, but when you renew your mind and allow your thoughts to lead your future instead of your fears. Motivation is fleeting, but discipline is dependable. Motivation sparks emotion, but discipline sustains momentum long after the excitement fades. Daily discipline beats occasional motivation, because consistency builds results while emotion fluctuates with circumstances. You can't rely on how you feel every morning to determine what you'll do. Feelings are unpredictable, but disciplined action is deliberate. The people who create lasting success are not necessarily the most talented or inspired. They are the most consistent. They show up when it's hard. They follow through when enthusiasm disappears, and they keep moving even when progress feels invisible. Discipline transforms ordinary actions into extraordinary outcomes because it converts desire into routine. Motivation often comes in waves, triggered by inspiration, a speech, or a vision of a better future. It makes you feel unstoppable in the moment, but without structure, it fades quickly. Discipline, on the other hand, doesn't need a reason. It just needs a routine. It's the quiet agreement you make with yourself to keep your word regardless of the mood you're in. It's doing the work when no one is watching, when the rewards aren't immediate, and when the temptation to quit feels strong. Discipline is not punishment, it's protection. It protects your goals from being destroyed by your emotions. Every time you honor a commitment you made to yourself, you strengthen self-respect, and that respect becomes the foundation of unstoppable confidence. Daily discipline compounds over time. A single act of effort may seem small, but repeated daily, it creates momentum that no burst of motivation can match. The compound effect of discipline is powerful because it turns effort into identity. You no longer have to force yourself to act. You simply become the kind of person who does what needs to be done. Small disciplines practiced daily lead to big results achieved naturally. The real power of discipline lies in its ability to outlast moods and excuses. It removes the need for constant emotional highs and replaces them with steady progress that builds trust in your own consistency. Discipline also rewires your mind to find satisfaction in effort rather than outcome. You begin to value the process more than the prize because you understand that showing up every day is what shapes your future. It keeps you grounded when results are delayed and humble when success arrives. Motivation might make you start, but discipline ensures you finish. It's the bridge between intention and achievement. Each disciplined day creates evidence that you are capable, and that evidence becomes your motivation to continue. When you live with daily discipline, life becomes less about chasing inspiration and more about creating rhythm. You no longer wait to feel ready. You act, and readiness follows. That steady rhythm transforms chaos into clarity and frustration into focus. While motivation fades with time, discipline deepens with repetition. And in the end, it is daily discipline that builds the life motivation only dreamed of beginning. Transformation doesn't begin when you think about change or talk about it. It begins the moment you take action. Action is the bridge between intention and reality, between the life you imagine and the one you experience. Many people wait for the perfect moment to act, believing that they need more clarity, confidence, or resources. But waiting only strengthens hesitation. The truth is, clarity comes through movement, not before it. The instant you take that first step, even if it's small, you break the inertia that holds you in place. Action signals to your mind and to the world that you are serious about growth. It shifts energy from thought to momentum, from planning to progress. Taking action transforms more than circumstances. It transforms identity. Every time you move toward what you want, you rewrite your self-image. You stop seeing yourself as someone who hopes and start seeing yourself as someone who does. Each action, no matter how minor, builds evidence that you are capable of change. That evidence strengthens belief, and belief fuels further action, creating a powerful cycle of transformation. You realize that you don't have to be fearless to begin. You only have to begin despite fear. The first step always feels heavy, but once taken, it lightens every step that follows. Action also dissolves doubt. The mind can create endless reasons to delay, question, or overthink, but movement silences that noise. You can't think your way into transformation. You have to act your way into it. Once you begin, your focus shifts from uncertainty to execution. You stop analyzing outcomes and start learning through experience. Each mistake becomes a teacher, and each small success becomes proof that progress is possible. The path forward rarely becomes visible until you start walking. Waiting for perfect conditions is like waiting for still water before learning to swim. You must move first to learn how to stay afloat. The moment you take action, you engage the law of momentum. Motion attracts motion. Opportunities start appearing, ideas expand, and people who can help you begin to notice your direction. The universe responds to movement. You stop being a spectator of your potential and become a participant in your purpose. What once seemed distant begins to draw closer, not because the goal changed, but because you did. The simple act of doing shifts your vibration from wanting to becoming. It's not the size of the action that matters, but the consistency of it. Small, repeated steps turn into the breakthroughs when combined with faith and persistence. Transformation lives in the present moment, not in tomorrow's plans. The decision to act today is what separates dreamers from achievers. Every time you act, you send a message to your future that says, "I'm ready." That readiness begins to shape every thought, opportunity, and connection around you. The moment you stop waiting and start moving, life begins to respond, and the transformation that once felt distant starts unfolding right before your eyes. Transformation is never the result of chance. It's the outcome of deliberate decisions, consistent actions, and a renewed mindset. One focused decision sets the foundation, shifting you from hesitation to movement. When you stop making excuses and start executing, your life begins to take form under your control rather than your fears. The three-step formula of awareness, alignment, and action becomes your daily compass, guiding you toward purpose with clarity. Your mindset becomes the root from which every result grows, shaping the outer world through the strength of your inner world. Daily discipline then becomes the fuel that keeps the fire alive when motivation fades, building momentum through repetition and resolve. And in the end, true transformation doesn't wait for permission or perfect timing. It begins the very moment you take action. Every change you desire already exists within you, waiting for your decision, your focus, and your commitment to bring it to life.